One Piece chapter 1022. First of all, fire chapter from start to end. Oda definitely brought the heat coming out of this break. This chapter had a lot going on. We had story progression, more lore that we can talk about, and just overall Straw Hat greatness. Particularly Zoro and Sanji. Again, since the Flying Six have been defeated, it leaves Oda with more space to do things in a single chapter. He can focus on one part instead of having to deviate from each section piece by piece. Now when it comes to the Flying Six, I'm not entirely sure that it's over for them. I kind of expected more from them, but yeah. Now I have mentioned before that they are Zoans and are very likely to recover very quickly, so I could see some of them returning, but obviously not at 100%. Page 1 I feel wasn't handled very well because he was the only Flying Six to not be defeated by a Straw Hat, and that was seemingly Usopp's matchup going into the war, so I wonder if he's going to make a return, and maybe this is where Usopp could get his moment just like the other Straw Hats had theirs. So we might see some of the Flying Six return. Before we keep going, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video and subscribe for more One Piece content. Now let's start from the beginning. Now the beginning essentially gave us confirmation that the Flying Six have been defeated, and again this goes back to what I said earlier about Oda having more leeway to do more things now since these guys are out of the picture. The Calamities are seemingly the next focus, and Oda has already created some seeds to give more depth to King, but I'll talk about that later on. Now we first find out about the narrowing of the forces in which the Beast Pirates seem to be losing in numbers due to several different elements that has transpired. First with the Ice Demon transformation that a lot of the Beast Pirates were going through, and we saw what happened in that case, in which a good portion of the Beast Pirates switched to the Alliance. We also have Otama using her abilities to convert some of the Beast Pirates with her Kibidango. So this was inevitable in terms of the Beast Pirates losing forces. Now they don't necessarily say what each force numbers, but given that it was extremely close last time, and with the defeat of the Flying Six, we can definitely say that it might be close to being equal or even equal, because I would imagine that some of the Beast Pirates are now losing morale because of the defeat of the Flying Six. So that's something we have to think about. But they are still holding on to the idea that Kaido is going to win, which is enough for them to keep pushing, but so far everything seems to be favorable for the Alliance. And this is very important because it was mentioned that the little battles also matter. It isn't just Luffy versus Kaido. So we're seeing here that the Alliance has been extremely successful with a lot of the little battles, not only just in terms of the Flying Six, but also in terms of fodder versus fodder. So at this point in time, the wall that the Straw Hats need to overcome is the Calamities. King and Queen are in the same vicinity, but we also know Jack is also active. We just haven't seen him in a very long time. So we might see a resurgence of Jack actually making it back to the life floor. We know that he was fighting Inuarashi there, but again, given Inuarashi's condition at that point in time, I think it's very likely that he might lose there. And interestingly enough, we haven't seen all the Calamities and their hybrid form, which tells me that Oda is still saving more for these guys, specifically in the case of Jack and King. We have seen Queen's hybrid form. Now we also get a confirmation as to where Onigashima is in proximity to Wano, and it turns out like we all expected that Onigashima is already on mainland Wano, but it isn't exactly near the flower capital, and it is mentioned here that it's going to take 15 minutes to get to the flower capital. So Luffy and Momo needs to start moving. This is the usual time thing Oda does for a lot of the arcs that we see in the story, though I don't think it's a end all be all timer and that everything is going to conclude after the time limit runs out. I think after the time limit runs out, we're still going to be fighting on Onigashima. It's just that in this case, Momonosuke will be the one to stop it from falling, and from then on, fights can still continue. Now we deviate to Fukurokuju versus Raizo, a matchup that has been hinted for quite some time now, and honestly one that I'm not really interested in, but I digress. Now in terms of this battle, there wasn't anything spectacular about it. It was mostly them just conversating as to how they serve their respective leaders, though I did find it interesting that Fukurokuju uses his ears to fight. You know, that's definitely a first coming from Oda. Now something I did notice when Raizo was talking was that he states that this won't kill them until they see everything through, and this is something that I've mentioned in my previous videos in regards to if the Scabbards should die or not. Now some people do believe individuals like Kinemon and Ashura Doji are dead, but I feel like the whole 9 shadow prophecy has to come to pass. If one of them dies before the dawn happens, it's almost as if they would be unsure if the others actually succeeded. It's not exactly a peaceful way of passing because there's that uncertainty that they might actually fail, so you're dying knowing that they're gonna fail. I feel like if any of the scabbards were to die, it would only come after they have seen the dawn, and then they can rest realizing that they have completed their dream. I feel like this makes the most sense because there's a sense of finality. They have accomplished the ambition of Odin. We also do have to remember that Hiyori is still around somewhere, so I could see her helping the scabbards that are in critical condition. Now, moving on to the supernova side of things, Hawkins and Killer are still going at it. Killer seemingly having the advantage in this battle, but again, when it comes to Hawkins, there's always some sort of trickery involved considering the kind of devil fruit that he has. Now, Hawkins gets stabbed here, in which Hawkins questions Killer as to whose life he's currently using. And here we come to find out that Hawkins was somehow able to attach Kid's body to one of his straw dolls, and this resulted in Kid taking an injury from Killer's attack as he was fighting Big Mom. So this scenario is turning out to be very similar to what Hawkins did to Law earlier in this arc. Killer is being put in this position because he's a very smart character. So this is going to make Killer very vulnerable because he can't attack Hawkins anymore or allow Hawkins to attack himself. And for the most part, we don't necessarily know how Hawkins' abilities work. So this is going to be a hurdle for Killer to overcome. At this point, there might be some sort of deal that might come into play here. And, you know, knowing Killer's nature, we could see some self-sacrifice here, as this wouldn't be the first time that he's done so. We know that he ate a smile because he wanted to save his captain. So things aren't really looking good for Killer right now. But I do see him overcoming this situation. Now, I could also see X-Drake coming into play here and having some sort of revenge here for what Hawkins did to him. But I'm not entirely sure. A lot of things could happen here. But it would be cool if Killer somehow got his way out of this situation. And finally, we come to the end of the chapter, in which we come to see the Calamities dominating and defeating the Beast Pirates that converted. And we get this spread here that's just amazing. You know, it shows King and Queen sort of towering over everybody. That was really cool. We also come to find out that Marco is at his limit, which is expected given the amount of time that he's been fighting for, and knowing that his ability has a limit. It was only a matter of time. Now, Marco here gives us some context as to the origin of King. And apparently Marco states here that there was a race of fire conjurers that lived on top of the Red Line. Now, this has a lot of implication to the lore of the One Piece world, because we know that the Celestial Dragons are currently the people that live on the Red Line. So this could honestly tie to a lot of things, and it is already making King very interesting. And talking about King here, his focus seems to be getting to Zoro, and so everyone is doing everything they can to hold King back so that Zoro can recover. Perospero tries to attack Sanji, but he gets intercepted by Nekomamushi here. This whole scene was pretty much like a Royal Rumble of just many individuals just attacking anyone they see, and I think it's going to translate really well to the anime. Now, Zoro is then found by King, and just before he attacks, we have Marco coming in with his final stance, you could say, and he blocks King's attack. And this gives Zoro enough time to recuperate, and Marco seemingly gives up here, saying that he's done his part, only to say that it's time for the stars to take the stage, obviously referring to Zoro and Sanji. And this was just straight fire. Like, I literally got chills from this moment. This is a classic One Piece moment, and it's moments like this that I'm waiting to see in the anime, to see how the anime amplifies it with the OSTs and just the ambience, and everything is just gonna be a fire moment in the anime. But here we have Zoro and Sanji coming in with a Muton shot and a Onigiri, you know, signature attacks, and they overwhelm Queen and King. And I like how Zoro and Sanji mentions that if they win this, they can see how Luffy will become the Pirate King. And because they know how important this battle is, it means that they are gonna put everything into this battle. The matchup could not be any more clearer. It's gonna be Zoro versus King and Queen versus Sanji. Something that has been talked about for a very long time, even before they were introduced. And I am excited to see what comes next, because I think the next couple of chapters are going to be insane. Sanji versus Zoro are going to show off here, and you should be excited as well. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Comment down below what you guys think. I would appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video and subscribe for more One Piece content. You can follow me on Twitter at Pharaohspace. But it is Pharaoh, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.